So let's start, guys. I think with the next slide now. Now, as I told you, I think we were discussing, let me give a quick recap of what exactly we are discussing in this class. So I think in the last session, we have started with this particular topic that is about the major categories of people. We also discussed about the few basic strategies, which with the help of which how the company actually manage its changes. Now, managing changes is all about all the challenges which they are facing from the market. And according to that, they need to change their strategies in comparison with their competitors. Okay. Now, the next slide which you're talking right now, that is about the change option matrices. Okay. Now, in this category of change option matrices, which we are talking right now, change option matrices basically talks about the areas of people, first of all, and the areas of strategic change. Okay. So, first of all, as you can see on this slide, that we are discussing about areas of strategic change. Okay, it means that it may be based on technical changes, it may be based on cultural changes, or it may be political changes as well. Okay, as I think we discussed in the last session, that change is nothing but any particular, you could say, area or any particular parameter which changes in the market. According to that, the company also need to change their strategy, how they are competing in the market. Like we talk about various examples in the last session itself, starting from Parle-G, Morris Garage, Maruti, even we discussed about Apple company, how these companies are, because of the change in their competitors' strategy, the company always need to change their on troops, or you could say on product offering in the market. Okay. Now, in such regards, we always need to keep in mind that there are basically three major people as well. People as well in terms of areas of people activity. It's all about formal organization structure, people, task, or informal organization structure. What type of changes you need to incorporate in terms of your changes in the norms. Okay. Now, when I'm just talking about the very first point over here, that is about formal organization structure with technical and work changes from the strategy to be undertaken. Means whenever we talk about the technical capability of an individual and how in the formal organization this may help to the company in large. Okay. At the very first point we're talking right now, it is organization of work and reporting and strategy and the structure. Now, what we're discussing right now in the very first point, that whenever we discuss about the formal organization structure, means we are discussing about the particular hierarchy of the company. Okay. And in this hierarchy, the individual must have technical skills, must have cultural skills, and also the political changes which incorporate the company in order to initiate certain changes in the organization. Okay. Now, in this case, you can see that the formal organization structure in terms of what type of strategy you need to incorporate, what type of managerial style you need to incorporate. Okay. What type of, you could say, cultural changes you need to adopt in the organization. And it's all about, you could say, balancing the power, responsibility. And when we discuss about the balancing the power between two departments, means as you know that, because the major reason of areas of conflict or the conflict in the organization, it's all about the problem of association or allocating the power, designation, roles and responsibility to the individual. So you can see that under formal organization structure, based on the technical, cultural and political changes, we need to keep in mind that all these particular strategies must need to keep in mind in order to provide a particular uniform structure. There should be, you could say, less conflict. Definitely conflict is an inherent part of the organization. There should be less conflict if the power, roles and responsibility is assigned to the particular, you could say, individual in a proper manner. Okay, that is the very first point. Now, when we discuss about from the perspective of the people, that is about from the individual, if you're talking right now, from the individual perspective, when we discuss about the technical changes or technical strategy, it means that selection, training, and matching the management style with the skills. Because as you know that each and every organization having their own style of working. Okay. Like for example, Mr. Anand is right now working with IDFC Bank. Okay. Let us suppose in future, as he's working in the private sector, he might need to change his job frequently in order to have a sufficient growth in the future. Okay, when it comes to financial growth as well as designation growth as well. Okay, in all such regard, Mr. Anand must need to learn about the technical, cultural and political strategies of his own. Okay, So when we talk about this particular technical skill, definitely he's working right now on the current, or you could say CASA section, where he has the leads to actually generate the and more current account, so that his target may be completed at the end of the month. And as we know that it's the ending of the month right now, so he might have a lot of pressure from his boss. Okay, the most important thing is that he must need to adopt the technical skill in terms of, for example, if Mr. Anand is actually approaching to a customer, he must need to, you could say, provide the benefits of the IDFC bank current account, and whether he has the sufficient power in order to sell his product or not. Okay, that's the very first part, the example which you're talking right now. The second example we're talking right now, that is called the cultural changes. Now, cultural changes, as we know that the Mr. Anand is working in IDFC right now. Tomorrow maybe in HDFC, day after tomorrow maybe in the ICICI bank. He must need to adopt the culture of different companies, because the working style, the we can say the company's product, you could say availability in the market, the people proposition in the particular society, everything always matters. So in this regard, we always need to keep in mind the cultural changes you also need to adopt in the organization. And the most important part is all about the political changes. Now, when I'm just talking about the political changes in terms of skills, power, and roles and responsibility. Because you know that, because for example, Mr. Anand, and similarly, definitely there are at least 5 to 10 workers are working in the same designation in the company. Okay. And definitely, you might have certain sort of conflict when we talk about promotion and bonus or increment given to Mr. Anand and the colleague B is quite different. Even though they are working at a same hierarchy, even they are working with the same, you could say, mental strength, physical strength in the market. So, organization must need to keep in mind that the political changes, it's all about basically the individual must need to understand about their incentives, about the rewards, and later on they should not regret about that. For example, Mr. Anand even don't know about the benefit which he might receive for his spouse, the benefit which he might receive when it comes to the part of incentives. Okay, because it happens. You always need to understand the incentive schemes of the company, and according to you need to strategize your mode of operation in any organization. Yes, guys, are you getting my point? The technical, cultural, and the political changes. And this happens in each and every organization, guys. Make sure. Because when I'm talking about from the perspective of the people, each and every individual must have to adopt. For example, even if I'm talking for myself as well, I'm working with IIBM. I have a different salary structure. I have a different mode of, you could say, delivery of my classes. But when I'm just approaching any institution where I'm delivering the offline classes, definitely my mode of delivery, my skill level should be very different. Okay. So when we discuss about the type of organization and their approaches, according to that, we always need to understand that how these companies are basically looking forward or providing such, you could say, benefits to their employees, and how the employees can actually pull up their stocks in order to sustain in the market for the long run. I hope it's clear, guys. The second point. Yes, guys, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. I think I can see only 15 students have joined today. Okay. Next one is a task now. Task is nothing but the roles and responsibility, the targets which is given to an individual. Okay. Now, when it's come to given a task, okay, you can understand that the technical skill Mr. Anand must need to possess in order to sell the CASA account in the market. Definitely, as you know that there are different, you could say, entities in the market available, and the knowledge which the Mr. Anand do possess right now is definitely similar to the other individuals because they have attended same training in the organization. Okay, but important thing is that Mr. Anand must need to compare the product of IDFC with HDFC, product of HDFC with ICICI, and other, you could say, competitive products available in the market. And he must need to give the right, you could say, differences, or you could say the comparison that why the IDFC bank product is most suitable in comparison to the other banks. So you can see that means Mr. Anand must need to consider about the competition level, the advantage to the IDFC bank providing in terms of their product and facilities, and the customer services which the IDFC bank may provide in comparison with the other bank. That basically comes under technical aspect or technical task which he must need to handle. Okay. Second point is the cultural changes. Okay. Now, cultural changes, when I'm talking right now, the cultural changes in terms of the task, as you know that, because the ethical values of one company may vary from another other organization. Okay. So when I'm just talking about the cultural values, ethical values, when we talk about the history of a particular organization, each and every organization might have a different working responsibilities on their workers. Okay. According to that, they define their roles and responsibility. According to that, they actually recognize an employee in a particular month or in a particular year as the outstanding worker in the company. Okay. So most important part is that the cultural changes under task, it's all about assigning the roles and responsibility by keeping in mind the ethical values, the roles and responsibility which is being designated, and you should not violate the norms, ethical values of any organization. That is about the cultural changes in the